What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talking with Beauties, episode 147, part 2, the College Wednesday News. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about Arizona softball because they are absolutely killing it, which kills me to say. Plus, Western Michigan won the conference, and college football might be changing a big rule for next season. But first, let's head into college baseball. So we'll start off with the notable results for this week in college baseball. We'll start off on Monday, number 23 Cincinnati losing to UNLV 6-7. Then on Tuesday, Texas State beating number 1 Texas A&M 7-3. Number 17 Duke losing to Campbell 6-9. Number 21 Troy beating number 18 Mississippi State 6-5. And number 22 Southern Miss losing to number 24 Ole Miss. On Wednesday, number 2 LSU beating number 19 Dallas Baptist 7-3. And Liberty beating number 17 Duke 12-4. On Thursday, number 23 Cincinnati losing to UC San Diego 4-3. On Friday, Arizona beating number 1 Texas A&M 3-2. Number 19 Dallas Baptist losing to Oral Roberts 6-7. And number 22 Southern Miss losing to number 25 TCU 5-2. On Saturday, Oklahoma State beating number 1 Texas A&M 4-0. Number 9 Oregon State beating or losing to Auburn, 8-7. Columbia getting destroyed by number 11 Oregon 35-1, which set a program record for most points scored in a game for Oregon. Number 14 Vanderbilt losing to USC 3-1. Arizona beating number 18 Mississippi State 6-5. Number 22 Southern Miss beating number 25 TCU 5-3. And number 23 Cincinnati losing again to UC San Diego 8-2. On Sunday, Princeton beating number 12 Wake Forest 7-6. UConn beating number 14 Vanderbilt 6-2. Number 18 Mississippi State losing to Oklahoma State 7-9. Fresno State beating number 20 UC Santa Barbara 2-1. Number 22, Southern Miss beating number 25 TCU 11-3. Number 23, Cincinnati losing again to UC San Diego 5-0. With that being said, let's head into the top 25, where we got a new number 1. LSU jumps up 1-1. Tennessee jumps 1-2. Arkansas jumps up 1-3. UNC jumps up 1-4. Georgia jumps up 1-5. Florida State jumps up 1-6. Florida jumps up 1-7. Oregon State jumps up 1-8. Virginia jumps up 1-9. Oregon jumps up 1-10. Clemson gets a plus 2 to 11. Texas a plus 3 to 12. Oklahoma gets a plus 3 to 13. Texas A&M drops 13 spots to 14. Wake Forest drops 3 to 15. Santa Barbara goes up 4 to 16. Ole Miss jumps up 7 to 17. Vanderbilt drops 4 to 18. Troy gets a plus 2 to 19. Southern Miss jumps up 2 to 20. Dallas Baptist drops 2 to 21. Auburn goes from unranked to 22. Alabama goes from unranked to 23. Coastal Carolina goes from unranked to 24. And Oklahoma State goes from unranked to 25. The dropouts from this week was Duke from 17, Mississippi State from 18, Cincinnati from 23, and TCU from 25. Arizona State update of the week. Nothing too special to talk about because it was not a good weekend for Arizona State baseball. They had 2 games against UCLA on the road for the midweeks. Split that series up. Not too bad there. Go back to home to face a really bad Minnesota team, and they looked even worse than Minnesota. Minnesota winning 2 of 3, and that one ASU winning the last game just to avoid getting swept on Sunday, but not a good performance there. Pitching, again, was atrocious. Batting was not bad. It was all pitching for the whole weekend. That really did struggle. Surprisingly, they did get a shutout on the second game against UCLA. I don't know how that's possible with this pitching staff. Really bad pitching. Hopefully they figure it out because it's just not going to get easier moving forward, especially when you get into conference play. So ASU's got to figure it out, but they dropped to 8-4 on the season. All right, let's head to college softball. Again, notable results first. Wednesday, we had number 11 Georgia losing to Clemson 3-5. Number 17 Virginia Tech beating number 24 Liberty in 5 innings 9-0. Number 13 Texas Tech losing to North Texas 6-5. On Thursday, LSU beat number 4 UCLA 2-1, but lost to Fullerton 6-5. On Friday, number 21 South Carolina beat number 9 Duke 14-7. Number 13 Texas Tech lost to Idaho State 3-2. Number 15 Oklahoma State beat number 16 Nebraska 1-0. Villanova beat number 17 Virginia Tech 7-6. Number 18 Stanford lost to Georgia Tech 5-4. And Number 23, San Diego State lost to Notre Dame 5-4. On Saturday, number 4, UCLA lost to number 10, Arizona in 10 innings, 8-9. Number 13, Texas Tech beat number 5, Texas A&M 7-2. Number 21, South Carolina beat number 9, Duke 4-2. Missouri beat number 16, Nebraska 7-1. And Utah beat number 23, San Diego State 1-0. On Sunday, number 13, Texas Tech lost to number 5, Texas A&M 7-6. Number 21, South Carolina beat number 9, Duke 12-7. Number 23, San Diego State lost to number 10, Arizona 11-3. Ohio State shut out number 11, Georgia 7-0. Northwestern State shut out number 20, Mississippi State 5-0. And lastly, number 23, San Diego State lost to Fullerton 7-4. With that being said, here are the new top 25. We have no moves for the first 3. Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida take 1, 2, and 3. A&M and LSU jump up to 4 and 5, +1 rating for both. And UCLA drops 2 to 6. U of A gets a +3 to 7. Tennessee drops 1 to 8. Florida State drops 1 to 9. We have a 2 team at 10 at Arkansas and South Carolina. Nobody at 11. Oregon jumps up 2 to 12. Oklahoma State gets +2 to 13. Georgia gets a -3 to 14. Texas Tech drops 2 to 15. Duke drops 7 to 16. Auburn gets a +2 to 17. Virginia Tech gets a -1 to 18. Nebraska jumps up 3 to 19. Stanford drops 2 to 20. Alabama gets a +1 to 21. Mississippi State drops 2 to 22. Virginia gets a +2 to 23. Liberty stays put. And Ole Miss goes from unranked to 25. The only team to drop out this week was number 23, San Diego State. Other receiving votes were Clemson, Ohio State, Cal, San Diego State, and Florida Atlantic. Arizona State update this week. ASU did very well this week. A very good weekend. Only one loss on the weekend with the tournament that they hosted. Unfortunately, that was on Sunday afternoon. Really, honestly, looked like a game that they should have won. Pitching was very good on Oregon State's side. All together, though, ASU jumps up to 15-6 on the season. I think this is a very good team. I think this team could be going underrated, under the radar right there. No votes when it comes to rankings at all for ASU, so a little disrespect there. But ASU seems to thrive under that kind of don't expect them to do very well kind of thing. So I think ASU is just going to keep on rolling pretty well. I think they're going to be a competitive team going closer and closer to conference play, but they definitely have something brewing there. So really good weekend for ASU. All right, let's head into college hockey. Notable results first. Thursday, number 15, UMass Lowell tied number 14, UMass 2-2. Number 11, Michigan lost to number 10, Ohio State in overtime 2-1. On Friday, number 11, Michigan got the better hand of number 10, Ohio State 4-3. Number 18, North Dakota lost to number 4, Western Michigan 6-4, which secured the NCHC top seed and first time ever for the Broncos. So congrats to you, Western Michigan. Number 20, Cornell lost to Union 4-1. Merrimack lost 2-3 to number 7 Providence. Number 12 Quinnipiac lost to number 19 Clarkson 3-4. Bemidji State tied with number 17 Minnesota State 1-1. Number 2 Minnesota lost to number 16 Penn State in overtime 4-3. On Saturday, number 18 North Dakota beat number 4 Western Michigan 4-3. Number 14 UMass beat number 15 UMass Lowell 5-3. Number 1 Boston College tied New Hampshire 1-1. Princeton Princeton won against number 19 Clarkson 4-3. St. Cloud State beat number 6 Denver 2-1. Number 2 Minnesota beat number 16 Penn State 5-3. And lastly, number 13 ASU lost to number 4 Omaha on the last game of the season. Top 20 for this week. Boston College stays put at 1. Michigan State jumps up 1-2. Minnesota drops 1-3. Maine gets a +1-4. And Western Michigan jumps 1-5. Providence gets a +1-6. Denver jumps 1-7. UConn jumps up 1-8. Boston University drops 1-9. Ohio State stays put at 10. Michigan, Quinnipiac, ASU, and UMass all stay put at 11, 12, 13, 14, and Penn State jumps up 1-15. Minnesota State gets a +1-16. UMass Lowell drops 2-17. North Dakota and Clarkson stay put at 18, 19, and Holy Cross gets into the top 20, going from unranked to 20. Cornell is the only team to drop. They dropped out of the 20 position. Other receiving votes: Colorado College, Omaha, Colgate, Cornell, New Hampshire. ASU update of the weekend. They split the weekend. With the win on Friday, they were able to secure home ice for the first round of the playoffs, the NCHC conference. Huge win for Arizona State. They went on Friday, unfortunately did lose 4-2, so it really honestly did not matter too much at that point. Regular season is now officially over for Arizona State, so they are sitting idle for the final week of the regular season for the NCHC conference. But regardless, they get the host first weekend of the playoffs on March 14th through the 16th. A best-of-3 series at home on your home ice is huge, especially with how good ASU has been playing at home all season long. So very good season for Arizona State. Definitely something to be proud of for the Devils going into the playoffs, but unfortunately they have to just sit back and wait. I do not think they have clinched a second spot. I think Omaha still mathematically can get into that spot. So hopefully this upcoming weekend, Omaha at least drops a couple points and ASU stays at the number 2 seed going into those playoffs. But speaking of playoff hockey, we did have teams starting their conference tournament. The Atlantic Hockey was the only team this past weekend to start their first round of playoffs. Number 8 American International beat number 9 RIT in overtime 2-1. Number 7 Air Force beat Robert Morris in double overtime 4-3. Number 6 Canisius beat number 11 Mercyhurst 2-1. With that being said, now you guys are looking at the bracket here. The American International seed will play number 1 Holy Cross, and I think Holy Cross will win that game. Number 5 Army versus number 4 Niagara. I think Army beats out Niagara and they get to move on. Number 6 Canisius versus number 3 Bentley. I think Bentley moves on there. Number 7 Air Force versus number 2 Sacred Heart. I think Sacred Heart moves on there. Now we'll move on to the other conferences that are starting their playoffs this weekend. We'll start off with the ECAC. Number 8 Brown versus number 9 Princeton. I got Princeton moving on. Number 5 Dartmouth versus number 12 St. Lawrence. I got number 5 Dartmouth moving on. Number 6 Cornell versus number 11 Yale. I got number 6 Cornell. Then number 7 Harvard versus number 10 Rensselaer. I got Harvard moving on in that one. Now we'll move on to the Big Ten. No first round, straight to the quarterfinals with how many teams there are. We got number 4 Michigan versus number 5 Penn State. I got Michigan moving on. Number 3 Ohio State versus number 6 Wisconsin. I got number 3 Ohio State moving on. And lastly, number 7 Notre Dame versus number 2 Minnesota. I got number 2 Minnesota moving on. I do not think there's going to be any upsets with those teams. And the last one, the CCHA, we got number 1 Minnesota State versus number 8 Lake Superior. I got Minnesota State moving on. Number 4 Bowling Green versus number 5 Michigan Tech. I got number 5 Michigan Tech upsetting and moving on. Number 3 St. Thomas versus number 6 Ferris State. I got number 3 St. Thomas moving on. And lastly, number 7 Bemidji State versus number 2 Augustana. Augustana, a very good team. I got them moving on as well. All right, let's head to college football real quick. Not a lot to talk about, but there wasn't anything else to talk about to make it into the cleanup episode. So they get their own segment. This week, they're talking about fixing the fake injuries. So supposedly, they are talking about teams using a either timeout or penalty to limit how many fake injuries we've seen in college football, which has been seen a lot, has been talked about a lot, but has not been regulated at all. So, of what we know, it is not confirmed but talked about that fake injuries can cost teams a timeout or penalty. Whenever a medical personnel enters the field to evaluate a player after the ball has been spotted for an ensuing play, the team that has the medical staff out there will either be charged a timeout, and if there is no timeouts remaining, they will be deducted 5 yards for a 5-yard delay of game penalty, whether that is the offense or defensive side of the ball. Most of the time, it is the defensive side of the ball where we see these fake injuries, but it could still happen on the offensive side. This possible approval could happen as soon as April, but it is still unconfirmed whether we will see that in game. Personally, I am all for it. I do not like seeing fake injuries. It slows the game down, and yet the game's already pretty quick, I think, but with all the timeouts for media and things like that, I don't want to see fake injuries to slow things down. Get some substitutions or play better defensively, but I think this is very good. I think this will limit those, but you also will have those players that are actually injured, and when the ball is spotted and they're still going to cost their team a timeout or 5 yards, but it's going to be a gray line, I guess, right there. But regardless, I think this limits having that possibility. So it's definitely something that I think should be approved going into next season. All right, guys, games of the weekend. We'll start off with baseball. Number 10, Oregon versus USC. Softball, number 3, Florida versus number 4, Texas A&M. That's on Sunday at 10 a.m. SEC Network Plus, which is on the ESPN app if you guys have that. For hockey, you gotta just watch hockey tournaments, the Atlantic Hockey quarterfinals, the ECHC first round, the Big Ten quarterfinals, and the CCHA quarterfinals are all this weekend. So just check out your local listings and check out to see if you have those channels as well. And lastly, men's basketball, I got number 7 Alabama versus number 1 Auburn. That's on Saturday at 11:30 a.m. on ESPN. All right, guys, that will do it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. 147 episodes in the books. This is a 2-part series now. Wednesday news is going to be split up moving forward with college and pros, unless there's nothing crazy in college to talk about, or unless there's nothing crazy in pros to talk about to make it in their separate episodes. But moving forward, it's probably going to be 2 separate episodes. So go make sure you guys check that out. Hit the like, the subscribe, the bell icon so you guys are notified when both episodes do drop. If you guys are on Apple and Spotify, make sure you guys hit the follow, hit the ratings, because that helps us get into more followers and makes bigger and better things for this channel. So appreciate you guys listening to this one if you guys made it this far. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. Watch some college sports because they're awesome right now when it comes to college basketball, college hockey, baseball, softball, anything college related. It's awesome. It's obviously great stuff. So make sure you guys check out that this week. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you guys later.